Okay, look, see, I started the cleanup. We're down to one chest. I actually did it. Ignore all of the mess back here. We've actually got this started. There's only the one box though. And what are we gonna do with all of this pristine land today? Absolutely nothing. Hello everybody, I'm Art and welcome to another episode of Glacial Awakening. And the reason we're not going to use the top floor for anything is because I've got some plans and we have to work through some problems first. Because what I want to do is set up an Industrial Foregoing plant gathering system to automatically get my farm upstairs taken care of. But to do that, well, we've got to continue progressing through Chapter 4 because we need plastic to make any of the other machines. And the start of that process is to make the tree fluid extractor and then the latex processing unit. And this is pretty much the bog standard version of this. We just need to make an iron gear and then we have most of the rest of the stuff just lying around. And speaking of just lying around, I actually wired up my AE2 system to some of these crates now. As you can see, they're now full of all my old junk. And that's because I laid some cable behind the walls. Here you can see different colors because I don't have wool to cover these or turn them into smart cables yet for the most part. And I have a whole trunk of ME controllers that goes all the way down to the basement. It was expensive, but it'll hopefully pay for itself in the long run. Anyhow, let's go make the tree fluid extractor. The upside to everything in my AE2 system means that it's now really easy to just auto craft stuff. And there we go, the tree fluid extractor is done. Now, this first step is easy. You just have to put it down. It doesn't even require power, and you put a log in front of the chompy gears right there. And over time, it will slowly break down this log and turn it into tasty, delicious latex, which we then have to process in the latex processing unit into dry rubber, which we can then smelt into plastic. And this is only a little bit more complicated than the tree fluid extractor, except I need to make some more furnaces, which, as a reminder, takes runestones from roots, which isn't hard, it's just tedious. All right, and now that we have the latex processing unit, well, we need power for that, and I could have picked a much better spot to do this demo, but I don't want to move the tree fluid extractor yet because there's some fluid in it to use for an example here. Because as you can see, this ate the log that was in front of it, and now inside it we have just about 2 buckets of latex, which we need to pipe in over. But that alone is not enough because now we have the latex over here, but we also need water. And thankfully in this room, I already have an infinite water source made from my screw up a couple episodes back. And we should just be able to put this down right next to it. And in goes the water and the latex. And out comes the tiny dry rubber. And these are combined into dry rubber, which is then smelted down into plastic, and thus the circle of life continues. What I need to do before we proceed any further though, is find a better home for these, and find the means to pipe this straight into my storage system. Which means I probably should make a brazier to dump them in through the radiant chest I have up over there that pipes into my drawer network, which means I probably should go put these in the drawer network, huh? Yeah, that seems like a good spot for it. Because it's not like I'm ever going to access it outside my AE2 terminals these days. Speaking of which, I did run a cable up to the server, so I have a terminal up here as well now, which makes things a lot more convenient for accessing things when I'm working on the surface here. And did you know? The various panels for AE2 are colored based on the color of the cable that goes into it. And as an example, if we dig this up, you can see that I have an orange cable going to this, and this actually matches this wood much nicer than the purple one anyhow, so I'm actually pretty happy with it. Okay, so this setup will do for a little bit. So what we have are conduits running under these to the brazier, and it looks like we don't have to do a hopper into the top. We can literally hook a conduit up onto the bottom and it will extract the dry rubber out just fine. So we can use that to pipe things around and probably set up a whole pipeline from a bunch of machines into this to export stuff out. Going to be a little bit cramped, but it'll have to do for now. I also removed the plate press and put it downstairs here in the basement and made a big ugly mess of this room and have cabling running through above the ceiling here. And I'm not happy with any of this, but we will solve this eventually, or not, I don't know. But the important part is now we can at least automate the placement of the logs because we needed plastic to make a machine that can do it. My normal go-to is the auto placer from Actually Additions, but that's got a couple components we can't make yet. But thankfully there's a block placer from Industrial Foregoing, which we, now that we can get plastic, can make. Although I'm going to have to sit here and wait for a bit more latex to make enough plastic to do this with. So hold please. You would think by now I would have a better furnace than the stock Minecraft vanilla one. This just takes forever. I probably should see if there's a redstone furnace available. Oh hey, I could probably make the basic Ender IO one. This only requires a simple machine chassis. There is also a resourceful furnace from Industrial Foregoing. Yeah, those seem like my two main options, although the resourceful furnace requires essence to work. So I guess maybe I should make the Ender IO one, huh? Alright, and having made the block placer, you place it down with the grate facing the direction you want it to output an item, give it some power, and put in the items you want it to place. And there it just places logs like that, and this will constantly eat them, turning it into delicious latex. I can just go grab a whole bunch of logs from one of my bonsais and fill this up, and we're good to go for quite a while. If I were smart, I would use this as the opportunity to move my bonsai pots, feed them directly into my storage system, and get this automatically fed from there. But I'm not going to do that because that's effort. Instead, I think I'm going to go make that furnace that I was talking about. Alright, now I at least have a powered furnace. Although I believe the basic version's pretty weak and slow. And one of the things you can't do is add a capacitor to speed it up and increase energy usage. But yeah, it's not going amazingly fast, but at least now it's using my free RF power instead of some actual solid fuel that I have to keep putting back in. Not that charcoal is hard to make, it's basically free. Now, however, I think it's time to go completely off menu, because basically the quest book is requiring us to go through an immersive engineering multi-block chain to make a bunch of machines to get up to the industrial machine chassis. I think instead we're going to go try to progress a little bit more through Industrial Foregoing to try to make the laser base with laser drills. And most of this is easily within our means at this point because our main blocker was plastic. But to make the drill, we do, however, need to make a laser lens. And this requires pink slime, which requires a mob slaughter factory. But none of that's hard to make. We have all the means. The big thing we don't have is an automated ranching system and farm like I wanted to do upstairs. But what we do have are a ton of chicken eggs, which we can turn into chickens, which we can then murder. And we don't need that many slime balls to make the first laser drill. My secondary concern is the amount of power it might take. It was horribly expensive and enigmatic. I don't know how much it costs here. So even if I make this, it might not be feasible. But I guess let's go try, huh? Alright, so I admit this is kind of janky looking, but I don't actually need that much slime, so let's just go, murder some baby chickens. Alright, so a whole bunch of dead baby chickens later, we now have a bucket of pink slime. Now, as a reminder how this works, you pour this out into the world, wait for a pink slime to spawn, and kill it. It's important to note that looting does affect the slime ball drops from it, so I used that looting book that I got a while back on my sword, and also added sharpness because it's long overdue. But here we go. And there it goes. Sometimes it does take a while to appear. And we got a whole one slime ball. I feel bad for the chickens already. Alright, so I got a bit luckier with the next two, so it only took 3 buckets and a whole bunch of eggs, but we now have enough to make the laser. So in case you've never used this before, the way this works is you put the laser base down in the center. It does not require power. You can surround it with up to 1 laser each on each side. The aperture, that circle part, has to be facing the laser base, and I think it can be up to like 3 blocks away maybe, but at least has to be 1. And if the laser beam's going to it, it's working correctly. It seems like it is chewing up about 100 RF a tick, which I think we have enough of. It doesn't seem to be draining our battery. So I think this is about pretty close to what we're outputting though, or maybe a little bit above. We might be able to put 1 more laser on this without tapping out, but we're going to need better power soon. This is going to become an issue. The other thing you can do is you can add lenses to the laser base, like the white one we had to make. Each of these colors, although there's no way to look it up here, gives higher odds at a specific type of ore. I wish it would show these, but you don't actually need them though. The lasers, when firing, charge up this work meter, which then creates ore. The more lasers you have, the faster this work meter rises. So now what I need to do is run a conduit up to the brazier right there, and we will dump the ore straight into our AE2 system. So at least we have more variety coming in. Oh hey, if you look at the laser base itself, it does show you which lenses bring things in, and it does bring in ore types that we were not previously. The big one for us is going to be the various Certus ores for now, because right now we have to manually mine those, so we have limited amounts. Oh hey, but it can apparently also bring up rock crystal ore for astral sorcery. That's actually really nice. But the other thing it can do is bring up the various ores for mechanism and nuclear craft, magnetic craft, and immersive engineering, which our mystical ore puller cannot bring in. So this does have quite a few useful purposes. We just need more power. But power is going to be a problem for another day, because I think next time what I actually need to do is excavate another large workroom to put all of the immersive engineering stuff we need to do to finish out this chapter, and we're going to need power to supply that. So maybe I'll put up a couple more windmills, but the windmills seem to be really poor power in this pack, which sadly is probably just about par for how they are normally, and I've just forgotten, because you can do things like stack 3 water mills and you can't stack 3 windmills, and there's all sorts of ways to juice up the power you're getting from water mills. So that's just sad times. Anyhow, not a problem for today. If you found this episode interesting and entertaining, please consider leaving a like or subscribe if you're new. As always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.